Well, the flow of fentanyl into the U.S. has many pathways before it gets over our southern border. And one of those pathways starts at a fentanyl lab in Mexico behind closed doors. Cartel members are taught how to manufacture fentanyl in makeshift labs that often look like nondescript suburban homes. Drugs produced around the clock, which will eventually wind up in the hands of Americans as part of the multi-billion-dollar illegal drug trade. Mexico's president has denied these labs exist. So joining us now to talk more about these fentanyl labs, journalist and producer Luis Chaparro. He wrote an article in the Daily Beast about this very topic. Luis, thank you so much for joining us on this. First, how common are these types of labs in Mexico?
Thank you for having me, Nichole. So these kind of laboratories, specifically in the state of Sinaloa, are pretty common. I mean, we're not talking about huge elaborate laboratories, but small labs settled in residential areas at small homes. And we're talking probably over 2,000, 3,000 in a single state.
And Luis, I read your article. It is really eye-opening. How was the Daily Beast able to get this access? Because you are talking to these drug makers.
Yes, I've been covering drug trafficking organizations for 15 years, specifically the Sinaloa Cartel, and I've made several travels and embeddings with the Sinaloa Cartel in Mexico. And when the Mexican and Chinese governments started denying that they were producing or helping produce fentanyl, I reached out to one of these sources to help me explain how is this working, and to elaborate a bit more about like how were they actually making and producing fentanyl to ship it over the border into the U.S. And they absolutely denied that. I mean, they absolutely went against the sayings that they're not producing fentanyl in Mexico with the help of China.
All right, you focus on something so important there. Talk about that connection with China and just how crucial China is to this operation happening in Mexico.
Yes, absolutely. All the precursors to produce fentanyl in Mexico are coming from China, either straight to Mexico through these two ports where we're seeing Mazatlan and Manzanillo are the biggest, also Lázaro Cárdenas. And then they mix the substances to make fentanyl. Now, my sources in Sinaloa said that they are making probably 10 to 20% of all the fentanyl they're shipping across the border, but they also import, they already made fentanyl in the form of powder to add it to different drugs like heroin and pressed pills, the so-called blue pills that are fake Percocets that are shipped across the border illegally.
All right, yeah, so we saw that first graphic there, the components coming from China. So, Luis, talk to us, how is this all intertwined with the cartel's human smuggling operation? Because that plays a role as well.
Yes, well, cartels are losing money when the U.S. started legalizing weed, so they had to find different ways to make up for that revenue that we're losing. Also, because of an overproduction of cocaine in Colombia, the price at street level is going down really hard. It has lost more than 60% of its value over the last 2 years. So one of the revenue makers for them, it's of course human smuggling, and the other one, a huge one, is the fentanyl. Although they are not using migrants to traffic fentanyl because they rather not risk. And again, like this is not me calling it a product, but they have two different products, right? Like they have the migrant and they have the fentanyl. And if the migrants get stopped or seized, then they're going to lose double instead of just risking one and then the other one. But yeah, the Sinaloa cartel is making right now more money from migrants than it was making for cocaine.
All right, Luis Chaparro, a really eye-opening article in the Daily Beast. Excellent reporting, as always. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.